Hi, I'm Rebecca. Thanks for joining me for this 45-minute yin wall class. Please take a moment to get any props that you might need today. So I recommend a bolster or a folded up comforter or pillow, a small folded up blanket, something that can be folded to different heights. And then because we're going to be on our back for some time today, another nice blanket underneath the body just to pad from the floor if you're on a harder surface. If you're on a carpet, it's not such a big deal. All right, so also, if you have high or low blood pressure issues, being on your back for extended periods of time with the feet higher than the heart, so in an inversion, you may begin to feel dizziness. And if that does occur, please know that you can come out of the posture at any time and notice that the wall and the floor are still at 90 degrees from each other. So you can do any of the postures that we're doing with in an inversed form, so on our backs, you can do that seated as well. So you do have options. And if you do have high or low blood pressure issues and you do know that being inverted is an issue for you, I do encourage you to look at being a little bit creative with this practice as we are in the postures. See if you can experiment by doing them against the wall upright as well. Okay, so if you have what you need, we'll start our centering today actually against the wall seated. So you may or may not want to take a blanket and just place it underneath the seat against the wall, just to help encourage the pelvis to tilt forward as we sit cross-legged. If cross-legged isn't a posture that works for you, you can choose any position that works for you. Legs can be extended, perhaps with a bolster underneath as well. Okay, so whatever works best. You can also have the feet bent and the knees just against the floor. But if cross-legged works for you, then go there now. And then take a moment to change the cross of your legs. And we're going to just start with a light centering and then some gentle warm-ups. And then we will get into our longer held yin postures, about 1 to 3 minutes per posture. So wiggle the seat up toward the wall and begin to feel the back supported by the wall behind you. And pay attention to if the neck is in a natural, nice extension of the spine. Pay attention to all the parts of the body that are supported by the floor. Start to shift the seat and see if you need to make any adjustments just to be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more supported. And then if it's possible, let the back just rest against the wall. The head can come slightly away from the wall, or maybe you'd like to rest the back of the head against the wall also. If you are resting the head against the back of the wall, just make sure that you're not overarching that lower lumbar spine, that we are trying to still envision the spine moving toward the wall. And then if it feels good, you can close the eyes or lower the gaze. And we'll just take a few moments, a few breaths to really land back in our bodies, on our mat, in the room, and into our practice. So we'll practice today perhaps with the ocean breath, where the lips are lightly sealed. And we draw the air in through the nose, gently and slowly, but loud enough that you can hear it and feel it in the back of your throat. So maybe not quite as forceful as the powerful or ujjayi breath in Hatha Yoga, but not so gentle that you hear nothing in the breath. You should feel a gentleness of the breath in the back of the throat. And you should ever so slightly hear the breath as it moves in and as it moves out. As if you're listening to the ocean from afar, or your ear was in listening into a seashell. And as you listen to and feel the breath, bringing all of your attention to it, listening to the whole breath, and feeling the whole breath. Following the exhale as long as you can. Slowing down the inhale, maybe just a little bit more. Breath by breath, the breath begins to lengthen. Our attention becomes more present and focused as we begin to show up for ourselves in our practice. Slowly begin to bat the eyes open. Just start with some gentle warm-ups. Opening the arms out to the side, spread the fingers and bring the backs of the hands and the arms against the wall. And only begin lifting the arms to the place where your shoulders feel safe, your neck feels long, and the spine is still having a natural arc. So breathe in, begin to open the arms. They don't even have to come all the way overhead, and exhale, let the arms come back down. Inhale to open. Feel free to bring them all the way overhead if that feels okay for you today. Exhale, lower. Do this a few more times. Arms and hands remain along the wall. Just starting to feel into the shoulders, and as we feel into the shoulders, feeling into the spine, the head, and the neck, we just start to become informed about how the body is feeling today. Let this last one be the last. Good. And then just bring the hands to the knees and maybe just scoot the seat away from the wall the tiniest little bit. And we'll begin just some gentle cat-cows. So tilting from the pelvis first. Okay, tilting through the lumbar spine, letting the shoulder blades come together, lifting through the heart. Maybe the gaze looks up, maybe you extend through the throat. And exhale, tilting from the pelvis again, pressing that lumbar spine out. Maybe the back begins to press against the wall, the shoulder blades move forward. The heart moves back toward the wall, the chin tucks in toward the chest. Moving at whatever speed works best for you. Maybe you want to move a little bit faster today. And trying to ensure that you're moving from that pelvis first and just starting to feel a little bit of mobility in through the spine. Feeling in through that low back and in through the hips. Do about 3 more. Good, and then just release that. I'm going to pick up one foot and just gently begin to rock the leg from side to side. We are going to be doing a lot of hip opening once we go into our inversion. So just feeling into the hip joint and feeling how the hips are doing today. You can go ahead and switch legs. Just remembering to support the ankle and the knee, letting the movement come right from that hip joint. Good, wonderful. And then last little bit of a warm up, just stretch the legs out wide. Okay, maybe that's here, maybe it's wider for you today. We're just gonna gently find a nice sway from side to side. Beginning to open up through the side body. Maybe you fold more over one leg, or maybe you make this more of a side bend. Either is going to get into that low back. We just want to start to wake up and warm up that lower lumbar in through the hips and in through the side body. Good. Come back up. Our first posture, we're actually going to take on our stomach and we're going to do Sphinx pose. So it's really nice to have the bolster or a folded up pillow, comforter, whatever works best for you. And you also don't need it. It just depends on how deep you want to go. We're going to come over onto our hands and feet. If you did have a blanket that you were sitting on, you can just move that out of the way. Okay. Come into a little bit of a tabletop. And then we're going to lower ourselves down onto our bellies, bending through the knees. And then just wiggle yourself back to a place where the knees come as close to the wall as is comfortable and safe for your low back. Okay. And then if you can, those shins rest up against the wall. And if the legs are not 90 degrees, it's fine. The knees can be as far away from the wall as you need. Okay, so you can just simply rest hand over hand here. Or you can begin to clasp the hands, bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, and just find a little bit of compression here. Okay, so you can stay here. Remember, you have lots of choice. Or you can begin to bring yourself up into more of a seal. So this is where the hands are a little bit wider, where about perhaps the middle finger rests on the outside edges of the mat. Really important not to collapse through the neck here, drawing the shoulders out of the ears. Top of the head moves toward the ceiling, so it's a little bit more of an active yin posture. If you would like to rest here a little bit more, you can take your prop and bring it under those ribs for a little bit more support. Then here you can relax with the breath and just settle into the posture. So we're going to take about 1 more minute here. Your neck should be free, remembering that the neck should be long, shoulders not collapsing into the ears. So the arms, even if you are resting on your bolster, there should still be a draw down with the arms and a draw up with the head. Okay, so that you're moving in 2 opposite directions, keeping a lot of space in through that cervical spine, so the top of the spine, and the neck. And find a nice, even, steady breath. If you like, you can return back to that ocean breath. And really, you do have freedom and flexibility to move the neck. So if you like here, you can draw the chin down for a nice opening through that cervical spine. Or maybe you want to look over one shoulder and then the other. Maybe you'd like to look over one shoulder and the other, or bring the chin down and hold. So we still have a little bit of time here if you'd like to hold in one of those shapes. Or maybe the movement is a little bit more dynamic for you. If at any time that lower lumbar spine, anywhere in the spine starts to feel too compressed, it's really important that you begin to come down. Otherwise, let's take 3 more long, deep breaths here together. Again, that ocean breath, just so that you can just ever so gently hear and feel the breath on the back of the throat, breathing in and out through the nose if you're not stuffed up or it's available to you to breathe through the nose. Otherwise, just breathe in whatever way is best for you. So after that third breath, if you do have a prop underneath you, you're just going to press through your hands, slide the prop over to the side, gently begin to come down, one hand on top of the other, and let the feet rock from side to side. Continue to let the feet rock from side to side, or draw one knee up in toward the chest. Just to finally feel a little bit of that release. And then we'll gently begin to roll over onto one side, draw those knees up, and take a moment to just take a child's pose here. So knees can be together, nice and wide. Knees together helps it feel like a little bit more of a forward fold, which is a nice way to release that back bend that we just did. Hands can be stacked or lower the forehead down toward the floor. It can be really important here to encourage the breath to move all the way down into that low back, especially after a back bend. So see if you can feel that low back expand with the breath in, and then contract with the breath out. Good, and then we'll gently bring ourselves up as we prepare for our inversion. So now we're going to come down onto our backs. As I said earlier, you can do this seated upright with the back against the wall if that's safer for you in any way. Keep your props close by. So we'll start with the prop, the bolster and blanket over toward the left side of your body. Tuck the knees in toward the chest and begin to come down onto your side. You can just protect the neck with your hand if you like. And then we're going to begin to draw the legs up toward the wall and wiggle the seat as close to the wall as is safe for your body. So we want the knees tucked in to the chest, the feet against the wall, and the seat as close to the wall as is comfortable and workable for you. The closer your seat is to the wall, the more intense and the more depth you will get in the postures. But it's just fine to come away from the wall however much you need to. Okay, so the first posture we're going to do is a two-leg twist over toward the left, which is why this pillow or blanket or whatever you have available is near. So bring it close enough that if you begin to twist over, it can catch you if you need it, and you may or may not need it also. Bring the arms out to the side, or perhaps in a goalpost shape, with the fingers pointing away from the head, or maybe even perhaps the hands interlaced, resting and cupping the head, with the elbows opening out to the side. And then begin to gently walk those feet over toward the left side of your mat, letting those knees drop down as well. And then take a moment to readjust that upper body so that that right shoulder is encouraged to move back down toward the floor. Okay. And if that right shoulder is lifting off the floor too much in a way that brings you discomfort, that is a sign that you need to come up and prop underneath the knees so that the knees do not come all the way down to the floor. Okay, so you decide your own depth. You are your best teacher. So you need to ask yourself what it is that will most support you in this moment. And then just come back to that ocean breath. You can close the eyes if it feels good. The gaze can look over either direction, okay, or straight up toward the ceiling. What is it you need? It's also sometimes nice to just experiment, play around, but be nice and kind to your neck. If you are moving it, move it slowly. Find your breath here. Really, we're breathing all the time, but finding the breath is meaning to bring the mind into the breath, to merge the two, to become aware, present and mindful, and even grateful for each breath in and each breath out. We'll stay here for about another 30 seconds. Remembering that you have complete freedom to come out of the posture sooner if you need. So now we're going to slowly begin to press down through those arms if the arms are interlaced or out to the side. Either is fine. Begin walking the feet back up the wall. Excellent. And then we're going to move on to the other side. So just readjust the back body, readjust the seat, and then begin to allow those feet to move over toward the right. Again, catch the knees with your prop if you need that, or maybe you need something in between the knees. Use the feet against the wall to give you a little bit of leverage, and then readjust the upper body. Do not expect the twist to feel the same on both sides. Feel the breath. Be grateful for the breath. Allow the breath to move into parts of the body that might be feeling tight or tense here. Reconnect with the ocean breath. If that was a lovely breath for you today, if not, any other breath is perfect. Just here for about another 30 seconds. Remembering that the head can be off to one side or the other, or perhaps it's straight up toward the ceiling. We'll start moving back toward the center now. So engage through the arms, through the core, and start to walk those feet back up the wall. Excellent. And then take a moment, if you feel like you've moved away from the wall at all, to wiggle the seat closer back toward the wall again. And at any point here now, you can take your folded up blanket, press through the feet, and bring that blanket underneath the seat. Especially for our next posture, it may help to feel a little bit elevated through those hips, but perhaps you also don't need that. We're going to take caterpillar here now by beginning to straighten the legs up the wall. Okay. Here, a little inner rotation with the legs, flex through the heels, draw the toes back toward you. Okay, and just notice how much of the back of the legs is against the wall. If you have tight hamstrings, your seat might be quite far away from the wall, and that's completely fine. Either moving further away from the wall or elevating up through those hips with a blanket, or maybe even a bolster if you have one. Both of those can be a remedy to help those tight hamstrings. But part of our yin practice is breathing into the discomfort. Trying to pay attention to the difference between discomfort and pain. And knowing when we are in pain, that's a sign from our body to come out. But the discomfort is actually something that we want in our yin practice. We want to find that edge, to find the breath, to start to find the place where the connective tissue and the joints start to receive nourishment, start to open in new ways. With about a minute left with caterpillar here, see if you can now point the toes up toward the ceiling, giving a nice opening through the front of the ankles. I didn't mention anything really about the arms here because the arms are wherever it's most comfortable for you. So maybe they're up to the side, maybe they're on your belly. Maybe you would like to have them interlaced, cupping the head again and letting those elbows come out to the side. That is a nice option in any of these inversions to bring the shoulders and arms into your practice. But if you would just like to focus on the legs today, then just let the arms rest wherever they feel good. All right, let's take 3 more breaths with the toes tipped toward our head. So keeping the legs pressed against the wall, engage the feet. Just a few more breaths. Good. And then we will begin to bend the knees again. Let the heels start sliding down the wall. And then once the knees are bent and the feet have slid down the wall as far as they comfortably can, we'll begin to open the knees up toward the wall and bring the foot soles together. Okay, so this would be our butterfly posture. So foot soles are together, heels draw down toward the pelvis, and knees open up toward the wall away from you. You can take your fingers, your hands, and gently place them on the thighs or on the knees and encourage those knees to open up toward the wall. It can be easy to forget about the spine and back while you're here, so take a moment to lengthen back through that spine. So just sort of wiggle through the shoulders and make sure that you are not overarching in that low back. Make sure that there is a nice natural curve in the neck, that the chin is not too tucked or tilted up too high toward the ceiling. It's nice and neutral. Again here, maybe you even want to find a little bit of rocking movement from side to side. Or maybe while we're here, you want to bring one ear down to the mat so that you get a nice opening through the neck. And then after a few breaths, maybe you want to bring the gaze over toward the other side. If you are using the hands against the knees, really extend through the arms, straighten out the arms. And if at any point here, I should have mentioned, if the feet against the wall is uncomfortable for your bones or the skin, you can place a piece of fabric there or a light blanket as well. So we will stay here for about another 30 seconds. Allow the breath to be nice and long. Maybe the heels decide that they want to slide down toward the pelvis even a little bit more. Really just enjoy the sensations, and in a interesting way enjoy the discomfort, as we know that the discomfort is creating changes in the body. Now let's gently bring the knees together. You can use the hands, the feet are resting against the wall again, and let us straighten the legs back up along the wall. Good. Now keeping the left leg against the wall, bring the right foot down on the wall, the foot sole, and bend the knee. And just feel into this for a moment. And then we will take that right ankle and cross it over top of the left thigh. And if that feels already too intense for you, you can cross it over the left shin instead, as long as it's not resting right on the knee. And then here we will begin to open up that right knee toward the wall, keeping both the left foot and the right foot engaged. One other option is to again point those toes up toward the ceiling of the left leg. And then to go a little bit deeper here, you can stay here 100%, or you can begin to bend through that left leg. The right knee continues to move toward the wall as the heel of the left foot slowly slides down the wall. The left knee bends and the hip begins to open up, the right hip. So you decide how deep this needs to be for you. But we are moving into this figure 4, this thread the needle. The left foot sole can rest all the way on the wall now, if you like. But that right hand still is resting and encouraging that right knee to open up away from you. If you're really open, you may even be able to get that left shin parallel to the ceiling. But that is not a goal, especially if the body needs a more gentle opening. It is, again, really important that you listen to your own body. Find the breath here. We'll stay here for about another 30 seconds. And I do encourage you, if any of these postures feel like super meaty and lovely and you want to stay here longer, if you're watching at a later time, please feel free to pause the video. And if you're watching live, just come back to any of these postures when we're done and stay here for maybe 3, 5, or maybe even 10 minutes. Good. You can stay here. You can straighten the leg back up toward the ceiling, or you can walk that left foot back up slightly and then begin to walk it over toward the left side as we start to come into a twist. So continue to open up that right knee away from you. The right foot begins to come down toward the floor. The left foot is now resting on the baseboard and the whole left leg rests on the floor. Unless it doesn't, and then you prop it up, you bring the floor toward you. You can stay here with that knee opening up away from you, the right knee opening up away from you, or you can start to draw that right knee toward the chest, letting the inside edge of the right foot come down toward the floor, and you can reach around that right knee to draw that leg closer to you. Okay, so now both legs are more parallel to the floor. That is an option. And then you can readjust through the upper body. And again, bring the arms into whatever posture feels best for you. So arms extended in a goalpost or hands interlaced and elbows opened up toward the side. Again, noticing anywhere in the body that you are feeling tight or tense. It's just messages from the body that this is exactly what you need and that there is room and space to open. So invite and encourage the breath to move there. Let's take a few more deep breaths here, maybe 2 or 3. And then no matter where you are, let's unwind the legs. Stack the legs one on top of the other with knees bent, so similar to that first twist that we did. But this time, begin to roll over so that you're hugging the knees, releasing through the back. Maybe the head lifts here. Just tucking the knees into the chest, finding a release and through that low back. And then we'll swing the legs back up toward the ceiling again. And we're going to do that sequence on the other side. Okay? So first, we draw the left ankle over the right side. Okay? And or that left ankle rests on the right shin, depending on how your hips and knees are feeling. Just make sure that it's not resting on the knee, sensitive little knee joint. And then use the left hand to encourage that left knee to open up toward the wall. And it's perfectly awesome to stay right there. Or maybe you would like to start bending through that right knee, slowly sliding that right heel down the wall. Maybe the right sole of the foot makes contact with the wall. And you decide how much opening you need or want. You can come all the way with the shin parallel to the ceiling, the right shin parallel to the ceiling. Don't lose the opening in the left leg. Use the left hand to encourage that left knee to open up toward the wall. Keeping that left foot flexed to protect the knee. Again, reconnect with the breath. Notice if you have begun to overarch in that low back or you're taking tension in through the neck and shoulders. Again, don't feel like this side is going to be any different or the same as the other. Each hip joint can potentially feel very different. This is a really nice opening for those hips, sciatic as well, if that's an issue for you. And then from here, we're going to start to move into that twist. So again, feel free to walk that right foot up the wall slightly if you like or need. And then we're going to start to walk that right foot in an arc down toward the right side of the mat. Okay. And then that right foot sole rests against the wall, and the left foot rests on the floor. The knee continues to open up away from you. Again, if the legs don't reach the floor, feel free to prop underneath the legs with a blanket or a bolster or a pillow. And then you can stay here for that nice opening with the knee moving away, the left knee moving away from the head toward the wall still. Or you can begin to roll onto the inside edge of the left foot as the left knee starts to drop down toward your chest. And that right knee can just rest gently on top of that left foot. And then again, readjust the upper body. Begin to find your breath, the flow of your breath in your body. And we'll hold here for another minute. In our online yin videos, we do tend to move a little faster through each posture. But it's such a gift because you have the opportunity to stay longer, come back to the video, continue to practice longer holds at any time. Let's take 3 full breaths. If you currently have the neck or gaze turned one direction or the other, because you have the freedom to do that, make sure that you bring it back to center first. As we begin to walk the right foot back up slightly, just enough to uncurl the leg, and then stack the knees one on top of the other, just as we did in that first twist. And then allow yourself to curl over toward the right side, just to hug the knees into the chest. This will help find a really nice release in the back. And then once you've released in the back, you can swing those legs back up the wall one last time. Wiggle your seat a little closer if you like. Extend the legs up. And then take a moment to widen the legs. So let the ankles move away from each other, finding a nice outer rotation in the legs, finding a nice opening through that inner thigh. And then again, readjust that back body. Make sure that you're not overarched in the back. Make sure as much of the back body is supported by the floor as possible. And just continue to let those ankles open. And as you breathe, if the legs want to open wider, allow them to gently find their way into more space. And if you feel like you need a little support, you've gone too far, bring the legs back up. You can also use your hands underneath the thighs to just help give a little bit of support. But remember, that little bit of discomfort is where the change happens. So don't be afraid of a little feeling, those feelings of slight discomfort, but if we're moving into pain, then we've gone too far. Find your breath here once more. And again, remembering that you may want to stay here longer. Feel free to stay here longer if you like. This is our last posture.
Otherwise, drawing the legs strongly back together, bending the knees, letting the foot soles slide down. Maybe you'd like to take your final Shavasana with just legs up the wall again, okay? Or roll on over to one side, take a breath, gently find your way up to sitting. Take a moment just to feel yourself upright again if you have sat up. Hands at heart center. If you're still on your back, just bring one hand over top of the other. Feel your own heartbeat. I do encourage you to stay in a Shavasana or final posture for longer. Give yourself the gift of this sweet time, sweet attention to yourself, because that really is where true love starts. And when we love ourselves deeply, we can extend that into the world more. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste. Again, come back to the video at any time. Pause for longer holds. I hope you enjoy your day. See you next time.